As more details emerge about the Trump rally shooting, we're getting some more reaction from lawmakers here in our state.
Yeah, Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones live in studio breaking down everything that's happened in the last day from the First Alert desk. And Marcy, what have you learned so far?
Good morning, Tracy and Caitlin. Well, even though Butler, Pennsylvania is more than 450 miles away from here in Connecticut, the impact of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump has rippled through every city and state in America. It's also prompted a few changes for politicians and government entities. Now, even though Governor Ned Lamont is in Germany for his previously announced economic development meetings, he's one of many Connecticut lawmakers, including Senator Chris Murphy and Senator Richard Blumenthal, that has condemned the senseless violence on Saturday. The state Capitol Police have announced an increase in their security protocols, the heightened measures applied to both inside the building and around the Capitol complex, adding that they are in communication with other state and federal law enforcement partners and will continue to reassess and update their security measures as needed. In the meantime, voters are still processing.
I'm glad he was not killed. I don't necessarily agree with his politics, but I'm glad he's still alive. I hope the campaign is fair from this point forward. I hope people think a lot about gun safety and offer more than just thoughts and prayers.
The Republican National Convention kicks off today in Milwaukee as scheduled, and coming up, we're going to be hearing some reaction from Senator Chris Murphy. In the studio, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.